We out here thinking that we have to be everyone's savior and that we have to be everything to everyone. And sis, I'm telling you that you do not. Once you are the best you, then everybody else benefits even more than they could have imagined. You're listening to I Have Given My Answer with Liz Gilliam of E616 Consulting. If you're ready to take part in the conversations that give Black women the comfort, the community, and the confidence to live our lives freely, recognize our true worth, and embrace softness, and I know you are, then you are in the right place. I'm your host, Liz Gilliam. Join me each week as we talk honestly and authentically, freely, and in our own words. There is no one here to disappoint and no one here to judge, just Black women supporting other Black women. If you're ready for that community, relax and get comfortable. You are enough. Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening to this pilot episode of I Have Given My Answer. What you are listening to is the true manifestation of a dream. This is something that I have wanted to do for so long, and finding the space, the need, and the arena to share my thoughts and what I thought would be helpful and positive. Getting the chance to do that has been really great. So I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being here. I've got a lot that I want to go over in this first episode. And yeah, I'm really excited. So let's jump in. First, let's talk about who I am. So you heard in the intro, my name is Liz Gilliam. I am the lead consultant at E616 Consulting, which is my brainchild. It is the culmination of a lot of years of a lot of work in a lot of different industries, but it is the personification of my love for Black women, supporting Black women, encouraging Black women, standing with Black women, and reminding us exactly who we are. Sometimes we all need that space where we are reminded exactly who we are. And so we are a confidence coaching company, and we offer mindset and confidence coaching and classes for Black women with the intent to eradicate imposter syndrome. You're asking, what is imposter syndrome? I know exactly who I am. I'm not anybody's imposter. Okay, all right, sis, calm down. I got you. I got you. We're going to talk about it. That is what we are going to go into on today's episode. We're going to talk a lot about that, the different ways it can show up in our lives, and kind of what we can do to get around that, because that's what I'm here for. So that is what we are starting with, and we're going to get right into it. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. So imposter syndrome looks, sounds, and feels like believing what the world says about you. It's a lot of thinking that we maybe don't fully know everything that we do know. Back in 1978, there were two clinical psychologists, Dr. Pauline Clant and Suzanne Imes, and they did a study on high achieving women. And what they found was that in many cases, high achieving women feel inadequate, inferior, and despite all the evidence and the receipts, sometimes we feel like we don't know what we're doing. I can absolutely say that I have been a victim of this. I suffer from this just like all of us do. But what sustains me is that more than giving into it, I work against that tide. To you, it might look like winning an award at work and somehow feeling like you don't really deserve it because you're a fraud, or being really good at what you do and then somehow feeling like one day they're all going to find me out. This is a ruse, and they all know that, and they're going to get me, and I'm going to lose my job. You could have more degrees than a thermometer, and still feel like you don't know enough, don't know how to do enough, don't sound smart enough. It could be thinking that sometimes the cool stuff that's around you is only there because of the people you know and the connections you've made. But I got you on the other hand, because it may not always be at work, it may be at home. Maybe feeling like despite everything that you've done, you're not a good parent or partner or friend or sister or daughter. It could be showing up and feeling like people are only putting up with you because you are a convenient choice. And while that may be true to some instance, I guarantee you that you are not just convenient. You are the choice. And we are going to work through that. We're going to work with that. And I'm sure you can imagine that imposter syndrome is pretty big in Black women. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more too, because we need to really understand kind of the roots of who benefits from us hiding. Humility sounds a lot like hiding. And when it benefits other people for you to be humble, they benefit from you hiding, from you putting your light under a shade, from you not showing up in the fullness of who you are because it makes them look bad. Listen, receipts are real things. One of my coaches, I went to a conference with her, a 3-day conference. And the first thing she had us do was write down everything we had ever earned or was good at. I had to write down all of my degrees, all of my jobs, everything I had done. Receipts are real. And so now I can sit here and tell you that I have a master's degree in social work and that I have done work with restorative justice in schools, that I have spoken to Florida legislatures about the discipline rates in their districts. I can tell you that I began working on a doctorate, and during that time, I did research in 30 schools in the 6th largest school district in the nation, and built relationships with administrators, teachers, and students. I can tell you these things because they do not make me any better or any worse than anybody else. They are simply fact. It is time that we are comfortable stating the facts of who we are, what we do, and how good we are at what we do. And so that's what I'm here to help you with. You can be humble. You don't have to be in everybody's face talking about saying, this is what I do, and I do it better than you because I'm me, and this is this. It's really not necessary to do all that. You can show your receipts. You can have your receipts, but still kind of show up with a little bit of grace for others, right? But you can let people know, let them know who you are. This goes back to one of those faulty things that we learned growing up where our family perhaps or our friends would tell us, you ain't all that. Don't act like you all that. I see you in the mirror over there doing your makeup and flexing your head. You think you're fine. You think you smell something. You think you know somebody. Listen, maybe you are. Maybe you do. I submit to you that you are all that, sis. You are. And you don't need them to tell you, and you don't need to hide it. You are all that. And a bag of chips. Okay? You are all that. So stand in that, live in that, breathe that air. That is rarefied air. Being a Black woman is dope. You feel me? Stand in that faith and know that you are dope, and it's okay to honor that dopeness that is within you. So stop hiding. You can be humble, but you don't have to hide. Stop hiding. Flip that. People don't want us to feel like we're all that. They don't want us to be all that great. But then you've got the strong Black woman stereotype that they want to put on us all the time, right? We out here thinking that we have to be everyone's savior and that we have to be everything to everyone. And sis, I'm telling you that you do not. Once you are the best you, then everybody else benefits even more than they could have imagined. They think they benefit from you hiding, and they don't. When you are cared for, when you are whole, when you can show up as your whole self, everyone around you will benefit. The world keeps telling us that we're not as good as everyone else. We learned growing up that you need to be twice as good to get half of what they got. Bet. That means when we show up and give half, if giving half means that we will save ourselves, then that means half is still 100%. It's still better than what they provide. Twice as good means I can do half the work and still be good. Remember that, sis. Imposter syndrome looks like those of us who are self-employed. Research shows that 55% of us undercharge for several reasons. We don't want people to tell us our prices are too high. We don't want people to tell us that we don't know what we're doing. We don't want people to think that we think we're all that. Do you see how all of these things that we have learned from childhood put their imprint on us and what we are doing and what it sounds like and how we present ourselves to the world when we know we're all that. We know we're good at what we do. And maybe you're not working, Maybe you're killing it at work. It could be either one of those things, but maybe you feel like at home, you don't feel like you can speak up for yourself. Because maybe you feel like your partner won't listen to you. Maybe you feel like because you don't work, you don't have the space to speak up when something isn't right with you. Maybe you feel like you're not doing your part to support the family. Baby girl, I get that. I know that life. And I am telling you that you are enough. You are more than enough. That house is working because of you. You have a unique skill set that serves your family in ways that other people could never. Other people could never support their families the way that you support yours. And if they can, good for them. That's in their house. But I'm here to tell you right now, sis, that you are all that for yourself and for your family. And I want you to remember that. I want you to hear me when I say that. Leadership positions at work, at home, volunteering, in a classroom, in class, wherever. We're often told that we're not good enough to be in leadership positions. Am I right? And forget hearing it. You can look up and down the halls of your buildings, of your schools, of your classes, look on TV. We often don't see ourselves. Representation matters. That's not just for movies. It's not just for kids. It's not just for toys. It's for us too. Because we often didn't grow up seeing those representations of us in positions of power. I know when I grew up, I saw teachers. I grew up in a family of teachers, but all the Black women I knew intimately were teachers. Or they worked in a secretarial phase. And I was a teacher. I've been a secretary. I am a secretary now in my own business. All of these positions are wonderful positions. But if that is not what you aspire to, it's difficult to somehow see what it might look like if you can step out of that. Because you end up in a space where you're looking at people who don't look like you, who don't have your best interests at heart, and who often are unconcerned with your advancement. And then when we do go forward and we go for it and we show up in the best way that we can, sometimes we're shot down. Sometimes we don't get the promotion. We don't get the grade. We don't get the job. Baby, that's not you. That's them. And I know that it doesn't feel good in the moment, but that's not a reflection on you. And sometimes we need to know enough about ourselves and how good we are that we can move on to the next thing, the next job, the next school, the next partner, the next household. We need to know that sometimes we can start our own thing. If the lanes that are out there are not lanes that are big enough, wide enough, strong enough to support us, then let's get somewhere else and do our own thing over here. We have to know that often portrayals of Black women are for the benefit and the pleasure of others. You think about the strong Black woman trope, or the Jezebel trope, or the mammy trope. These are all dedicated and documented ways that Black women are portrayed in media, right? Think about those, and think about how those really don't exist to serve us. They are often portrayals in which we are fetishized, and our utility is prioritized, and it takes away the most human parts of us. And a lot of times those show up in the real world, and our oppressors, not just white men, black men, white women, other black women, quiet as it's kept, will show up and use those positions to keep us in our place, quote unquote, as the strong black woman, as the Jezebel, as the mammy. They only want to see us through those one-dimensional lenses. That translates to the real world, and it's a real thing that we have to work through. So you are not alone. We have all had to work through these harmful stereotypes that show themselves in ways that impact us negatively. You're not making this up. And so I want to talk to you, because if we can talk honestly, if we can talk openly about the ways that this shows up, we're going to talk about how I was so comfortable listening to people who had done half of what I had done. They were not nearly as good at this as I am. Not nearly as good at what I do as I am, but I listened to them because they had positions of power, right? They are supposed, you're my advisor. You're supposed to know how to advise me. You're supposed to help me. You are my coworker who has been here twice as long as I have. You're supposed to help me, right? They made me physically ill, trying to squeeze myself and compress myself into this box that they needed to be comfortable. They benefited from me dimming my light. And the fact of the matter is, I wasn't even trying to shine on them. I was just existing. But my mere existence of excellence threatened their existence. We'll leave that there. Their existence, right? They were threatened by me because me being there would make them have to step up and do a little bit more. Or it would shatter the comfort that they had created for themselves just by me being there and showing up. And they didn't want to do that. So they put more effort into putting me down and reminding me, you don't have a voice. You shouldn't be saying all of these things. What is it that you think you're doing? They put so much effort into reminding me of my place so that they didn't have to step up. I'm good at what I do. When I show up, I am good at what I do. And everyone knows that. That is not me bragging. That is simply receipts that I have. Happy to download them for you and put them somewhere if you would like. You can't Google me yet, but it's coming. Okay? So who is impacted by someone's mere existence? And why is that my problem? Why is that your problem, sis? If they are impacted just by you showing up, if they are negatively impacted, that's on them. And I care enough about you to help you get through that. So let's move forward because we have some work to do. In 1993, Fordham explained that very early in our lives, Black girls and women are taught that the legitimacy of our experiences will be called into question often. So I know you may be in these spaces where you go to your white colleagues or your male colleagues and tell them how you're feeling, and they'll tell you you're making it up. Or you go to somebody who benefits directly from you shrinking, and you tell them how you feel and they don't see it. Or if they see it, they don't want to tell you. I want you to win, sis. I want to see it. I want us to break out of that, because the world, you know what? Forget the world. You need you. I need you to show up, because Black women are the ones who are going to do the work, the hard work. Sometimes being quiet is that coping mechanism that gets us through difficult situations. Dr. Melissa Harris Perry says that in Sister Citizen, where she talks about shame and she talks about how political shame is. And it's one of the core tenets of my teaching. You'll hear me say that a lot, but sometimes it's just easier to stay quiet and avoid shame. I'm not going to charge you double because I don't want to be shamed by you. I'm not going to tell you that I know better than you because I don't want you to shame me. Shame is political, y'all. So as long as you feel shame or you want to avoid the discomfort of shame, people can control you because you won't speak up. And I promise you, it's time out for all that. There's no more time for that. You have to show up for yourself, and that's going to make some people uncomfortable. But more than that, you have support. I'm here to stand with you and support you and let you know that you are here in the fullness of who you are, and I love you and I see you and I want you to show up. So now I've given you all this doom and gloom. We've talked about imposter syndrome and all this stuff. But what am I supposed to do about this, Liz? What am I supposed to do to get out of this space of imposter syndrome, Liz? Okay, girl, I got you. I'm going to tell you. So there are different ways that you can get around that. You can get yourself a mindset or a confidence coach. Do some work on your mindset. There's hundreds of books on this. I can recommend some to you. There's books, there's talkings, there's teachings, there's all kinds of podcasts and audiobooks and things you can listen to constantly remind yourself of who you are. There's the autobiographies of women who have done the things that we want to do. Or simply women who just exist in the fullness of who they are. A few that I've read: Michelle Obama, Viola Davis, Gabrielle Union. They are here existing and reminding us that we are not alone in these feelings. Even if you don't want to be a first lady or an actress, you can still hear from other Black women who are dealing with these things as well. You gotta be reminded that you are, in fact, the shit. You are, in fact, all of that. And a bag of chips if you would like. Maybe you're not trying to eat a bunch of greasy carbs. That's your business, sis. Maybe you're not. It's okay. But you are all that. Therapy. I'm a huge proponent of therapy. I love my therapist. Me and her go back and forth. We get real. Okay? Therapy can help you work through and uncover some of the harmful lessons, harmful images, harmful things that we may have been taught by family, by partners, by old supervisors, by ourselves, that may be getting in the way of us actualizing who we are, what we are, and how we can show up. There might be things that have happened that can get to us in ways that sort of break us down. And therapy can help with that. They will help you find those safe spaces within you so that you can feel confident moving out of the spaces that keep everyone else safe at your detriment. Here at E616, we also offer mindset support, what we call systemized intimate supports, or SIS or SIS. And we're really excited about that. But, sometimes when you have these big things that are coming up and you're trying to fight against imposter syndrome, all it takes is someone to be there and stand with you. So you have a big interview or a big confrontation or some sort of difficult conversation that you really don't want to have. We will meet with you for up to 2 hours before that session and then stand with you on the big day. So if you have a big interview with a Fortune 500 company, I will come with you to that interview. I'll breathe with you. I'll remind you who you are. We will go over our mindset lessons, and then I'll wait for you. Because what good is it if you go into the interview and no one's got your back? I will sit in that lobby for as long as it takes. And when you come out, we will dap, we will hug, we will dance, we will do whatever we need to do to remind you that you are who you are. Sometimes the mindset shift happens before you even get there. So if you're going to this big Fortune 500 company and there are not as many Black women, walking in with another Black woman can take your confidence to the stratosphere. Doesn't have to be Fortune 500. It could be walking into your boss and asking for a raise. I'll sit in the lobby and I'll wait. I'll sit with you if you like. Whatever it is that you need to be supported in those spaces where others have encouraged you to shrink, I'm here to help you grow. Whatever that big scary goal is, we need someone to remind us of that successful mindset that is birthed within us. And I am that person. So I want you to remember that. So Couple of key reminders about what we talked about in this episode because we're coming to the end of our time here. Imposter syndrome doesn't just happen in the workplace. It can happen at home and in our personal lives too. It is not your fault. Feeling it does not make you any less good at what you do, and it doesn't make you any less of a woman. We are in the middle of a system that means us no good. We are under the weight of practices, mindsets, teachings that all have led to a point where we have to second guess how good we are because we do not see ourselves in many spaces where we can thrive. Community, comfort, confidence, those are the things that we work on here at E616. And community is the first one because we are allowed to grow and thrive when we are in supportive community. So I want you to head over to our Facebook group. It's called I Have Given My Answer, the podcast. And I want you to share some of your own experiences with imposter syndrome. I'm going to share some of mine. Other members are going to share some of theirs. We monitor the group to make sure it's only Black women in there. It's still the internet, so still be careful of what, share whatever you're comfortable with, but you will be met with a group of support where we can work with you and just talk to you and give you that outlet and show you that it is okay to be the shit. Facebook group is one opportunity. The other one is if you would like to head over to our website at www.e616consulting.com. We've got affirmations, Black women affirmations that I have curated and put together for us. It is a free resource for you. Take it, print it out, put it on your mirror. Remind yourself every day that you are worthy of the love that you put out. We want to help you cultivate that. So that's it for this pilot episode where you've heard me go on and on for about 20 minutes. But in future episodes, let me just tell you what you can get ready for, baby. My friends are coming. We're going to have conversations. We're going to understand that we are all experts in our own lives and what we can bring to our sisters. So the first episode of every month, I'll be talking to you. We'll be talking about some of the more academic parts of imposter syndrome and how we can get around that. I'll be sharing my own stories. We'll be talking about that. And then the rest of the month, I'll be chatting with some very dear friends of mine. We'll be working with them and through some of the difficult conversations that we've had and lessons that we've learned from our families. But the whole point of the work that I do in this podcast and the classes and the coaching sessions and the mindset support, all of that is to remind Black women that we are the shit. Okay? Remember who you are. I love you. I need you. And I cannot wait to hear from you in the Facebook group. I'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone. Sis, thank you so much for taking the time out to listen to this week's episode, where I hope that you have been reminded that you are amazing, that you are worthy, and that you are worth it. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Music or SoundCloud or wherever you are listening to this podcast. Head over to our Facebook group at I Have Given My Answer, the podcast, to continue the conversation with other listeners. And then head over to our website at www.e616consulting.com, where you can get this week's free resource, but also look into our services. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you next week.